All right, last week of CY, this is week 5, day 8. So today we're talking about the grad value of loving, and we're really diving deep into our Ignatian heritage and also talking about mottos. In today's lesson, we're really thinking about the life of Ignatius, our patron, and how that has led him to lead a life of authenticity. So have the students sit with their 4 o'clock partner. They're going to reflect on the quote. What does this have to do with that grad value of loving? Next, we're going to pray that same prayer, Fall in Love by Father Pedro Rupe. Then we're going to go ahead and look at our schedule for today. So they're going to do the bell ringer, authenticity prayer model, images of St. Ignatius, the olive, and your Patronus. Before I get too ahead of myself, you might not get to the Patronus activity, and that is totally okay. So don't speed through this lesson plan just so that you can hit all the marks. Really allow for that authenticity to shine. So students will really quickly go through their Tuesday with their 4 o'clock partner, see if they can figure it out, provide the answers, review, and then have the 4 o'clock partners go to their planner where it says CY1 Day 9. And then next to it, they're going to see something that's called a Frere model. And you can ask students, have you ever seen a Frere model before? And if they haven't, this is what it looks like. You're going to tell students that we're going to talk about this word authenticity, and I want you to define it. What does it mean to be authentic? I want you to tell me people that are authentic have what characteristics. You can think of them as synonyms, but be more specific. Like if I'm an authentic person, what do I have? I want you to think of things in the world that exist that are authentic, either people or things. And then I want some non-examples. So examples of things that are not authentic in your opinion. And then we're going to go ahead and review that. So have the students take, 6 minutes, fill in that authenticity Frere model. Then you're going to go onto the board and go over as a class. Let's define it. Can anyone provide me maybe more? What's a better definition? We want to help our students understand that like using the word authentic to describe authenticity isn't helpful. We want to use words outside of that word authentic. So give them that opportunity to help you fill in the gaps. And I always tell my students, if I'm writing something down that you don't have on your paper, you're going to have to want to follow along with me. So you do that. Next, you're going to do an activity with images. You'll notice that this has animated text. And we just want to say, hey, what do you notice? Have the students point out, oh, I know that guy. That was from our first week of class. That's St. Ignatius, even says at the bottom. Might even want to point out that there's a crest in the background. And look what we got here, the Oness family killers, right? So next, we're going to go to, well, what do you notice about this image? Well, it's the same guy, but he looks a little older, a little bit wrinklier. There are way more religious motifs, so have them observe. And then we want to think about when you juxtapose both of the images, how are they similar and how are they different? Well, they are the same person. One is a soldier, one is looks more priestly, one has a saint halo around him, other has a spear. The one has a crest, and I don't know if you noticed at the bottom here, but we've got AMDG, so that's a little sneak peek into the last lesson. So give them the opportunity to make that, and we're going to argue that these two pictures juxtaposed together represent St. Ignatius's journey towards this word authenticity that we just want to define. So in their CY1 journals, their planners actually, we want them to go underneath the Oscar Wilde quote and just take some notes. What about this journey that you're going to watch about our patron saint is a journey towards authenticity? So we get into it. They watch this video. It's 10 minutes. It's really cute and fun and easy to watch. Then we're going to go ahead and debrief. We're going to do a think, pair, share. A think, pair, share means you think for a couple of minutes to yourself. So we're going to journal. Then pair and your 4 o'clock partners, you're going to share a pair. In that pair group, you're going to talk about what you wrote. And then share, we're going to ask for volunteers. And some notes to help you out was self-reflection, those spiritual exercises. Being in isolation allowed him to know himself better, finding people that were like-minded, building something for a community of folks, moving beyond the self. So moving from being just all about his own glory to being other-centered, And he had to study and be humble because, he had to be willing to learn with elementary school students when he was first taking those language classes. Next, you're going to say, by enrolling yourself in a Jesuit school, you have been called to authenticity. And so you can either have this, I usually like having the student read this. You have been called to authenticity, which means critical thinking, social responsibility, personal development. It's not what you do, it's a state of being. And so if you're able to get all this in, then you're going to say, we're going to watch one more video and I want you to tell me what the connection is. And it plays automatically. So just FYI. And what's this called? Hopefully they figure out it's called a Patronus. And we're going to define Patronus in CY1 as a positive force. It's an animalistic projection of the self, and it represents who we really are, not our masks. So I'm going to ask you this question: what is your Patronus? And I want to challenge you to not just pick the Patronus that you think looks good or you think your friends like, but the Patronus that best represents who you are. So you're going to go ahead. There's lion, a hare, a tortoise, and a hawk. And so you'll notice that they're in the four corners of the slide deck. You're going to also be in the four corners of your classroom. So very quickly, go ahead and lions over here, rabbits over, or hares over there, hawks in the back left, and tortoises in the back right. You are going to work together as a group to answer some of the following questions. So get in your groups. Okay, look, we're all spread out. Now ask yourself, am I authentically where I need to be, or do I need to move to somewhere else? All right. So here's what you're going to do in your groups. You are going to spend, depending on how much time you have, just leave about 15 minutes at the end of the lesson for the presentations, or 12 minutes rather. You're going to discuss what's fabulous about being you. So from a hawk, what's fabulous about being a hawk? What's challenging about being a hawk? And which of the other animals is the most difficult for me to be in relationship with? Encourage the students to go beyond the literal, because yes, some of these are predators, and yes, some of these can be considered prey, but think about more symbolically. We've been talking a lot about symbols these last few weeks. Symbolically, what do these animals represent? And symbolically, how these animals get along or not get along based off of their traits. Once that happens, the groups are going to pick a spokesperson, 1 or 2 people, and they're going to have 2 minutes to answer these questions, right? So Patronus presentations. Hey, I'm from the hawk group, and what's fabulous, what's challenging, who our frenemies are, our friends are. And you'll do that 4 times through. So each student should get approximately 3 minutes. So just keep them timed. And then we're going to debrief this. Okay, we started the day with a Frere model, then we moved into the olive activity, and then we concluded with the Patronus activity. What are our takeaways? What do you notice? What connections do we make? And what is CY1 trying to remind us of? And ultimately, this is a key, crucial time in their development where they're figuring out themselves. And the only way to find out who one is truly is to try to be who one is truly. So giving them an opportunity to reflect on that and think about how high school, it's very easy to fall into the traps of what everybody else likes to do, say, think, wear. And they've got this really incredible opportunity to start defining and carving up who they are, regardless of what the mainstream is. So just some thoughts. Love this lesson. This is usually really fun for the students to think about themselves symbolically and metaphorically. And then after this, only one more and you are done.